Welcome, and thank you again for joining us for our Giving Day. We appreciate all those who have given and those who are thinking about it. We appreciate the prayers. This has been a great day, and so we just appreciate it very much. I'm Barry Binion. I'm the Director of Church Relations here at Heritage Christian University. And today I have with me Jake Schick. He's one of our awesome students here at Heritage, and I'm thankful to have him with us and just appreciate him and him taking some time out of his day to be with us today. So, Jake, before we get started, or as we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and those kind of things.
All right. Well, as Barry said, I'm Jake Schick. I'm from a small town called Fairfield, Texas. I'm about halfway between Dallas and Houston. I grew up there for about the past 15 years. My dad is also a minister, and I grew up at the Fairfield Church of Christ. Shout out to them. I love that congregation. And that it really helped me grow there, and especially just being in a good, nice, solid church congregation there has helped a lot. We really have nothing to do in Fairfield. It's about population about 2,000 people. So I like golf and basketball because that's what we have there. So
Awesome.
you got to do what you got to do.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And you take you make use of what you have.
Got to.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's a very important lesson to have in ministry as well, I'd say. Make use of
Amen.
what you got.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, why did you choose HCU, and what inspired you to pursue ministry?
I'd heard about HU all my life because my dad, he went to school here and graduated in 2006 and got his bachelor's degree here as well. And I'd never heard anything but good things about it.
Mhm.
And it was one of those schools, it was like, okay, it seems like a really solid, nice place to go. It seems like a really good environment as well. And before going here, I had already set up to go to EMS school and stuff like that. And I was planning to attend Tyler Junior College there and get a degree or a certificate to be an EMT. But you know how God can just have a red light moment and just put you on the brakes and then send you on a whole nother direction. And that's exactly what happened here. So about 2 months before the fall semester started, I got in contact with Caleb Baker, who'd been trying to reel me into the school for about 9 months from that point. And he was like, "Hey, what do you want?" And I was like, "Well, I want to come to Heritage now." He said, "So you're finally going to want to come after I stop begging you?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Okay, cool." So that's how I got in touch with Heritage, and it's been nothing but an awesome place. So
Yeah. And you and I are kind of in the same boat in that one of the days when I was here, um, before I started, I've only been here a few months,
Right.
and you were here with your mom
Mhm.
touring the school. And so we've kind of started here together.
Right,
It's kind of
right.
been cool. So what is it that made you not only want to come here, but also want to go into ministry?
What made me want to go into ministry for the most part was because the lack of ministers, seeing
Mhm.
in Texas and areas like that, at least in the small town setting that I'm used to. Um, a lot of areas were having to shut doors on churches and turn people loose to other congregations because they just didn't have ministers. And I always thought growing up that I could do something else and have ministry like kind of like as a side show where I can do that while I do another job and stuff like that. But maturing and realizing and praying about it was like it needs to be the forefront of my mind, and I need to focus on that while I can because I
Yes.
mean, if there's churches dying out here and I can make a difference, I need to be that difference.
Exactly. And which goes back to why we need people's help.
Absolutely.
Is because you can graduate the little to no debt.
Exactly.
Which is a big thing.
And that was another thing that was really appealing about the school when I was first looking into it and actually attending. It was like, there's a scholarship that you can go on, the Legacy
Right.
Scholarship, and people basically pay for you to go to school. I was like, well, that sounds really appealing. I'd rather not go $50,000-$60,000 in student debt in order to attend college. And it's just been a blessing.
Right. So how do you think that will help you once you graduate?
I think it'll help me because I don't have to focus on paying back school loans and student
Mhm.
loans and stuff like that. I can focus on what's ahead of me. And I've always heard the saying, ministry is about the mission, not the money. So I
That's right.
already know I'm signing up for something that's probably not going to get a lot of money, and nor do I need a lot of money for what I'm doing. But HC just makes it that much better for once you get out that I'm already set to keep going forward rather than having to
Right.
backtrack and cover up my tracks along the way where I have
Exactly.
to keep paying. Rather, I can sit back and go into my ministry and start a family and
Yeah,
that
that's
kind of
perfect.
stuff.
Perfect. That's right along the lines of why we're here today and what we're trying to
Absolutely.
do. That's exactly right. So, how do you plan to use your degree from HCU?
I plan to use my degree from HCU, whether to be a preacher or a youth minister.
Mhm.
I haven't really decided on the two of those. But one thing that my dad does that I'm also keen on doing is I'd want to become a teacher as well. And I'd see if any private schools would be hiring for a biblical history teacher because that's something I want to do. I've always loved coaching sports. I coached baseball and I umpired baseball and I helped coach football and all kinds of stuff. And I coached golf for a little bit. So I know what I'm doing in that aspect. So it's something I really love. And I love teaching. I love what teachers do. And like being a minister, you're a teacher of like what the word has to say,
Mhm.
but also like being in that kid setting, like whether it be a youth minister or just a regular old teacher. I mean, you can just make a difference on a kid's life. You never know what a kid's going through when you can be that inspiration to shine a light for them.
Exactly, exactly. Earlier today in chapel, Brother Wayne
Mm.
talked about some connected to the school and how they always said, I like what I'm doing because I don't know what I'm doing. In other words, don't know the impact. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly, because it's one of those things. It's like I may not see it, but
Mhm.
20 years down the road, when a kid comes up or an adult comes up to me and say, "Hey, you remember when you helped me out?" And I'm like bright eyed and
Yeah.
bushy tailed because I'm like, "Whoa, I did! I helped. I was a difference there in that kid's life."
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, in the way I've heard the Great Commission
Mhm.
explained as you are going. And so what you're talking about is
Right.
not only helping the church, but also your mission field all around you, and you can use your talents
Absolutely.
for God.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. That's great. So how is HCU preparing you for real world ministry?
Uh, it's helping first and foremost by teaching me day-to-day skills with the basics and the
Mhm.
basics of education and stuff like that. I'm really excited for my intro to communication class I'm taking next week because I know I can, or not next week, next semester, but I know I can be really tough at communicating some things sometimes. So that's going to be very helpful, but also like giving me a really in-depth and deep biblical knowledge as well, where I can look into some stuff and be able to, build sermons and stuff like that. And they have a lot of cool perks that come with being here, especially Logos and
Mhm.
stuff like that, that allow you to have a sermon builder and look at all these commentaries for virtually free because the school allows that stuff. And just another reason why I'm so thankful to the people that give to the school that we're able to afford and do stuff like that.
Yes, amen. Amen. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what's been your most memorable experience so far at HCU?
Well, it's going to sound like a very different experience because I assume people are going to think about events that we've had or classes and stuff like that. One of my favorite experiences was we were sitting in a dorm and we were over there, and I happened to have a songbook because I lead singing at other churches around the area along with preaching. And we were flipping through it, and we decided, hey, let's sing. And then two people turned into three people turned into four, and before we knew it, everyone was outside their dorms. We were up in the breezeway on the dorms, sitting around in
Oh,
a
that's
circle,
awesome.
just singing, and it was electric because it was like 11 o'clock at night, and all we were doing was singing praise, and
Wow.
it was just it echoed in that breezeway and just sounded fantastic.
Oh, that's powerful. That's
I
powerful.
loved it.
That's a great story. Great story. I appreciate you sharing that. So, how does Giving Day align with the mission of Heritage Christian University?
HCU gives so much time to us, especially as students, in putting us along the pathway of wanting to be ministers and stuff like that, that this school does nothing but give. Whatever comes into the school, it's given right back out. And that's, as Wayne said earlier, it's the sole mission of the school, staying in the middle and doing what the Bible tells us to do.
Right.
And that's why I enjoy that. And Jesus commands us to give as well, and all HCU seems to do is give, and that it's made my life 10 times easier, especially being a student here, not having to worry about debt and stuff like that.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, are there specific projects or programs that students are particularly excited about?
Me personally, I'm very excited about the junior senior classes that are offered here. I wish I could take them now. It sucks that I can't, but I'm very glad that they're there for when I get the chance to go, because I know one, for instance, right now that's being held this semester is Pesos
Yeah.
by Bill Bagents, and it's Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Solomon.
Oh, yeah.
And that class seems awesome. And I talked to my advisor about taking it. He's like, it's a junior senior level class. I'm like, oh, dang it. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just something to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good that you got that to look forward to.
Mm.
It helps you in those times where, man, I'm tired. I'm getting tired of school. Here we are at the end of break,
Absolutely.
but to have that to look forward to
It's
down the
just
road.
another milestone to keep
Yeah.
looking forward to. I mean, if you're not looking forward to anything else, what are you doing? Like, if you're not pursuing the mission, if you're not looking forward to what's next, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that happens here is we have students on campus, which, by the way, we have a great group of students, and we're excited about those students, and we're glad that they're here. And you've heard from some of those already today. If you haven't, go back and check out some of those. But one of the things that also happens is not only do we have students in the class, but we have those that are distance learning that are also joining. So tell us a little bit about that experience. How does that from the student in the classroom standpoint?
Well, being a student in the classroom, it almost feels like they're there as well. Yes, there's a screen that's a divider, but they're still able to provide their real world insight in the same time that you're learning. They're asking questions too. They're learning alongside with you. They're doing the same assignments you're doing, and they're there. It may just be through a screen, but it's almost like they're in person as well. And it is a really good experience for the people that can learn online. It also is a lot more able to do because a lot of people have jobs and things that they got to focus on. I mean, there may be family that they have to take care of or something like that.
Right.
It just makes it that much more of a convenience when you have that option to be online. And it really doesn't feel that much different from a standard classroom setting, whether you're watching it during the actual time that the class is taking place and participating in the class or watching it after. You can still gain the same bit of knowledge that people in the class are learning.
Right, exactly. I've done the audit classes some, and that's exactly the way I felt from the standpoint of sitting in my office at the church office and interacting with the other students, both in the classroom and in other parts of the nation.
Right.
It felt like you were there with them. Dr. Bajits was the teacher, and we were interacting with him, and he would ask questions, and we could
Right.
respond, and even in break, we could talk.
Exactly. And one thing I love about HCU is their flagpoles out front.
Yeah.
Because it shows where all the different students are from. My Texas flag's up there. Shout out to them. But just a bunch of different students from all over. It doesn't matter where you're from, whether in person or asynchronous. You're still in the same classroom. And you're still getting the same experiences a lot of the people are in person.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. So why do you think I know you've mentioned some as we've been talking, but what are some reasons why people should give to HCU?
One reason I believe that people should give to HCU is not everyone is physically able to go out and fulfill the Great Commission like we're called to do. I mean, a lot of people, whether it be physical ailments or disabilities and stuff like that, maybe can't travel overseas or do stuff like that. I mean, the whole part about HCU is making real world ministers that are able to combat real world problems like that the devil throws at us each and every day, and being able to go into that battlefield, because that's exactly what it is. It's spiritual warfare when we're out there, what we're doing. So being able to give to us and allow us to be able to go out and preach and teach the gospel like we're called to do just makes it that much more powerful and impactful for what we're actually learning here at our time at HCU. It just makes it where we're learning that much more, not having to deal with the hassle of after debt. That way we can just keep going forward, as I was saying earlier. It's just, it makes it to where we can survive after college, because in a lot of places, when you go to school for 4 years, it just a big old tally left behind you, and you can just keep going when you're done here.
Yes. Of course, as we all know, I mean, we've lived in living through times of great debt, not just as a nation, and so we realize that it's difficult. It's difficult on us. It's difficult on all of us, and we realize the importance of being wise with our money and those kind of things.
Absolutely.
But because of students like you and others, those in distance learning and things like that, it's a great benefit and a help to you guys. And so we're thankful for that. And I know that you are.
It really is. It's just a blessing. And it's allowed me this semester to really not have to work much other than going out and preaching, which is something I want to do. It doesn't matter about the money I receive from it. I mean, yeah, it helps some, but being able to look around and not have to worry about paying for my schooling as much as I would anywhere else is just such a relief of a burden off my shoulders.
Yes, sir. Amen. That's awesome. That's awesome. So can you share any personal experiences of the positive outcomes resulting from the donor contributions?
I'm able to go to school for an affordable price. I mean, looking at everywhere else that I ever wanted to attend, it was like, oh, this is going to cost you up to 5 figures a semester or something like that.
Wow.
I'm like, man, I don't know where I'm going to get this money from. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, like, yeah, I wanted to originally be a teacher over anything. And, teachers don't make the most, that they do a lot of the most work, but they really don't get rewarded with what they got. And it was like, well, I'm going to be paying this much to go to school to be a teacher, and then I'm going to have to pay that back over the course of 20 years. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just, it's an awesome education that I can receive for just a fraction of the cost it would cost anywhere else. And
Right.
that's just what makes it so appealing, and also just so great for what it is, because Heritage Christian, it doesn't matter your background or your past or where you came from or anything like that. I mean, their goal is to give you education for ministry and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people can be very judgmental on where you come from and your background and stuff like that. But Heritage, it's just great. It doesn't worry about that stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like you said, especially where you are from,
Mm-hmm.
the possibility of uh, being involved in a Christian school, in
Absolutely.
addition to preaching, and a lot of people do that.
Right. My dad is, he was the preacher at the Fairfield Church of Christ, as I mentioned earlier, but he's also a teacher at a private school down there. And he's able to do that and make the same impact that he has while preaching on Sundays and teaching on Wednesdays as he is in every other weekday. He's going
Right.
out and serving like that. And that's one opportunity I got to have, as well as being a teacher's assistant at that exact same school.
Oh, cool.
And I got to be there with kids and work with children and stuff like that, and just make an impact on them, because
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of these kids at this school come from broken homes and
Right.
disproportionate families and stuff that happens in their life, and they got very difficult situations. So if you can maybe be that light at the end of the tunnel for them, it's the same thing in ministry. Just be the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Right. That's awesome. That's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. So, how do you believe the sense of community is strengthened by the support of donors, both within the university and beyond?
Well, HCU is able to, from the students graduating, able to send preachers out into the community. That's one of the main goals of Harris Christian University, as well as sending out counselors and stuff like that as well. These counselors and these ministers
Mhm.
and these youth ministers are able to go out and just make a difference, and they're able to give back to the community with what they were given by Heritage Christian University. And that's why the giving is so helpful to us, because, as I said earlier, the burden not being on our back, and that we're able to keep going, pushing forward and stuff like that. I mean, these counselors are going to have burdens with their work. These ministers and youth ministers are going to have burdens with their work. Why have that extra burden when it cannot be there in the first place?
Exactly, exactly. Which and we're Jake and I both are thankful for all of you that have given
Absolutely.
or are thinking about giving, because it does go a long way. We are 80% donor funded, and that goes a long way for all of our students, both on campus, off campus, in helping us do what we're doing here. So we do appreciate that, and I know Jake and others have shown that. So Jake, is there anything else that you would like to share with us or share with the audience today?
I just think Heritage it's really just a great place. And one thing I've noticed here, other than any other school I visited and other places that I looked at, is that people really do care here.
Mhm.
People are focused on the one-on-one classroom relationship with their student as a professor, and also the just relationships I've been able to build with my fellow classmates, despite the age gap. I mean, Jeremy Hale, he's perfect example. He's 42, but I can look at him like he's my age, and we can just hang out and we can talk to each other and
Right.
be friends. It, like, just people are so caring and so helpful and so kind to each other, and everybody is willing to help, is what it seems like. Nobody is ever going to turn their head to you and not look at you. They're always going to look at you head on and say, what can I do to give you a helping hand?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I forgot to ask, what's one thing that stands out from this is your first semester, right?
Yes.
What's one thing that stands out to you about Heritage Christian University and your experience so far?
I'd say that one thing that stands out more than anything is just the faculty.
Mhm.
They're always doing their jobs, always doing so great. A lot of them don't get recognized for what they do, and there's so much behind the scenes work done. I mean, there's people behind the scenes of this camera right now that are doing all the work, and we're just sitting here talking. But like, they don't get recognized for stuff like that. And I think the humility that I see in a lot of the staff is one of those things that's absolutely electric.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jake, thank you so much for
Sir, thank you
being
for
with us
having me.
today, and thank you all so much for joining us. It's been a blessing, and we thank you for what you have done and what you continue to do to support our university. Thank you.